All right, we're going to talk about this one more time so people don't waste thousands of dollars and end up with somebody else's old injectors in their engine after thinking they got new ones, okay? So, hey everybody, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. This is a 1KD FTV engine with a cracked piston. It's done nearly 400,000 kilometers. The original injectors were in there for 320,000 Ks, which is certainly too long for a 2010, but you know what? Obviously the pistons are tough because it lasted 320,000 Ks, well, even longer. Now, this is what happened. He's gone into a Toyota dealership. Doesn't matter what state it's in. Doesn't matter if it's in Queensland. Doesn't matter what dealership it is. You know, it just doesn't matter, because what matters is, obviously, Toyota and Denso, they've got a relationship, and, you know, they get supplied, you know, similar injectors. They've got different supply chains, and you can end up with remanufactured injectors, because that's what happened to this one. Now, just recently on our Australian group, Oz Prado Crew, somebody posted up, you know, and I've mentioned this in other videos, that they got their injectors replaced because they've been watching the videos, but he just went to the mechanic, and then the mechanic, you know, he put a picture up. I thought he was doing the job, so I'm kind of going, oh, you know, what, hang on a minute, they're remanufactured injectors, just stop, you know, and all the fuel pipes are still on, and they're bent back here, and they're all filthy things, 300,000 Ks, you know, they're going to go right near your new injectors, but they weren't new anyway, so it didn't really matter. So look, this is the problem. So this is what could happen to that vehicle. Everybody, you know, say your prayers for him, because hopefully not, but at the end of the day, when you leave injectors in for 300,000 Ks, there's a good chance that they weren't working right at 300,000 Ks, and when you get them replaced. We only supply brand new, genuine injectors, you know, so proper, fresh stock, brand new, not counterfeit, not remanufactured. And if you don't wait for that stock and get them from us Monday morning, 7:30, but we're closed at the moment. So you need to wait till August. You need to, you know, follow the Prado Hospital's Facebook page, whatever it might be, to make sure you don't end up with the wrong stock. We got missing nuts and bolts from this one to go to the other one. This is pick apart, this one. So again, it went to the Toyota dealership. They had to pull the head off and pull the engine apart and lose some nuts and bolts. Our current problem is this fuel return line bolt, is the hollow bolt there's missing. So yeah, that's a big problem. You can't run the engine without that. Obviously, we've got the ones that go inside the engine, but the new engine's got that anyway, but it's this outside fuel return line that we need that hollow bolt there. There's one in Sydney we can't get for nearly a week. There's one at Country Dealership in Victoria, which we'll have to go for a drive 2 hours at a couple hundred Ks each way to do that. Or we got to chase around the wreckers, which we could spend just as many hours trying to find someone that'll give us a fuel return bolt that's worth about $10. But anyway, it's good if people don't lose nuts and bolts. Thanks, Talk Toyota. You know, oh, there you go. You know, that's who pulled it apart, right? So, you know, you get that. Anyway, there's lots of boxes and things. It seems like they've taken a lot of care, but I'm sorry, it's not enough care, because there's nuts and bolts missing. So, but we'll sort it out. It's obviously going to cost extra time and money, that sort of thing. But look, this has definitely got remanufactured injectors. So the point of this video was to say, you can even go to a Toyota dealership and say, hey, I want to get some new injectors, whether you let them do the job or not. Let's not even talk about whether the workmanship's correct or whether they do the job right, whether they use a torque wrench or not. Let's just stick straight back at the fact of these are remanufactured injectors. So we know that for a fact. We've got the engine here, we've got the injectors, that's the evidence. The client has confirmed the injectors were changed by, let me just go back to that message, 320,000 Ks it was. Let me just have a look. Yeah, just going back. Yep, in the first month of 2021 at 320,000 Ks. Talk to Brisbane. Anyway, that's just who did it, right? So I'll take a wild guess that, you know, that's who did the injectors. That's probably who's pulled the engine apart, but it could be wrong. So let's just forget about that. It wasn't them. That's just a really awesome dealership. They only give you new, genuine, they do the job right every time, and they never lose any nuts and bolts, okay? So I'll retract that, because I'm probably wrong, even though the client told me it was Talk Toyota Brisbane. Anyway, because it doesn't matter which dealership it was, because again, it might look flash at the front, but you got the kids working out the back, and at the end of the day, they obviously just don't take enough care, you know, whether it's the apprentices or the mechanics. You won't find many mature age technicians left at the back of any dealership. So we're not picking on any one dealership or Toyota dealerships. It's workshops and bloody, especially the dealerships in general, because they're bigger. They need more workers. You can't get workers at the moment, and they just get more, they're younger, inexperienced. Maybe they don't care. They've got other things on their mind, and that's fair enough. You know, not their fault, I suppose. It's just, you need to avoid the result. What happens is you end up with remanufactured, you end up with nuts and bolts missing. So This one, 320k. I just want to be clear. So we look at the dates on the injectors. I pull these out because I'm told they got replaced not long ago. And I'm thinking, yeah, a couple of years. So I look at the manufacture date and I go, hang on, these injectors are all built in 08, 09, 2010. I go, hang on a minute. And then I took another look, remanufactured, right? So anyway, it's our belief with remanufactured, they obviously don't change the electronics, the solenoids, anything at the top. That doesn't come off is our understanding, unless it's changed. The command piston's still the same. They just change the nozzle needle and they recode the injectors, right? Now, in our opinion only, of course, they'll say they're like new, but they've got all the old wear and tear parts. They're not DLC coded. Our replacement injectors, they're genuine injectors. They're full DLC coded. That includes under the solenoid valve, up the top of the injector here, the command piston down the middle, and the nozzle needle. It's all brand new, made in Japan or Thailand. So there is a bit of a mix there. Most of them are Japan, but some are Thailand. But it's really important that you don't end up with remanufactured injectors because they're just somebody else's old injectors. Now, this engine, maybe it would have made it to 400,000 Ks with the old injectors. Maybe the old flogged, who knows how many Ks these have done. These could have done more or less kilometers than, this is a 2010 vehicle. 2010 vehicle, this one, right? So, you know, obviously at 2021, 11 years and 320,000 Ks, in my opinion, once again, they're not going to be working right. Wrong combustion caused by the injectors. But how tough these pistons must be to last that long. Now, we know of engine rebuilds that have had pistons cracked under 100,000 Ks where they use those awesome aftermarket pistons that still crack. So if you think there's another brand of piston that's better than what Toyota can do, yes, they've done a number of revisions saying they can make it more robust. But when the piston's not the problem, they can make it more robust. You can't make it robust enough. Now, in the 1GD, it's a whole new piston, you know, so you're probably not going to, I don't know, give it more time. I don't know if there's going to be cracked pistons. I don't think so. But if you asked 1KD owners when they were 5 years old, there wasn't cracked pistons back then. And of course, all the low kilometre ones, you've also got to consider back then chips were very popular. Might have been before tunes and remaps, but there was a lot of vehicles, all those lower K ones, maybe the few under 100,000, the few in the low hundreds, you know, 120, whatever. They probably had chips and stuff like that anyway. And quite often people aren't going to tell you that. As I mentioned before, there's a survey done where somebody did a survey, you know, asking a lot of questions about cracked pistons, and the Steinbauer chip was the #1 most popular chip on those engines with a cracked piston. So we'll pretty well wrap this one up. Just remind everyone, we are closed until August. We're finishing off some jobs like this. We've got to do workshop maintenance, restocking parts, and take a bit of a break. So that's what we're doing, winter break. If you stay tuned on our Prado Hospital Facebook page, we'll let you know when we're back. Subscribe, turn the bell on this channel. There'll be more information, more videos. We'll keep you in the loop with what's what. But yeah, you really want to avoid those remanufactured injectors. We only supply brand new injectors. So whatever you do, if you're watching my videos and you think you need to replace your injectors, well, contact me so that you get all the right stuff. And of course, with new injectors should be new fuel pipes. Where are the fuel pipes? Oh, we chucked them in the bin already, didn't we? Because they're rubbish. I was just going to have a look, see if they look like new. But this is all rubbish. I've just thrown the head on, the cams on, the injectors in there, just to put a lid on it and put it away, because you never know. One day down the road, if we can't get new engines, we might actually even end up rebuilding engines properly. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can continue to supply engines, because I still believe it's the best value for money. I'm told on the most latest update, the rebuilt engines are more like about $6,000. Like I said, these engines, they're about $10,000. There's a number of different part numbers, but ballpark 10 grand. The 6 grand doesn't come with injectors, pipes, and all that sort of thing. So by the time you take off your injectors and pipes and a few bits and pieces, you know, about 3 grand and probably a couple other bits and pieces, you're around about the same money anyway. Let's say the new engine, the brand new, you know, I'm talking about new, not rebuilt. I'm not talking about rebuilt engines, reconditioned engines. I'm talking about brand new factory engine made in Japan that comes with the injectors already in it, saving you some labor, because by the time you add the extra labor, if you get an engine somewhere and you've got to still put some components like valve covers, and I don't know if they've got sumps on them, have they, valve covers, I don't know, water pumps. Is it a new water pump? Is it genuine? Is it a genuine water pump on the Rico, or is it, you know what I mean? So this is all brand new, genuine, what we do, and we keep them in stock. So obviously only people that, you know, we can't do everybody's engine, right? So what we're going to do, we're pretty expensive on engine replacement. Prices are going to be going up more because there's this thing called record inflation. So we need to be part of that, because we've got bills to pay as well, and workshop setups to pay for to be able to do that for you. But what we guaranteed is it'll be done right the first time with a brand new motor, correct installation with no nuts and bolts missing. But just remember, we can't do everybody's, so there could be a long wait time. So bada bing, you just better make sure your maintenance is Mickey Mouse by subscribe and turn the bell on, and we'll catch you on the next video. Avoid those reman injectors, not good. See ya.